Before Ashoka became India's most famous moral ruler, he was a conqueror. He was a Mauryan prince who became emperor around 268 BCE, and he inherited a powerful machine built by his grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya. Ashoka expanded the empire, but one event defined him: the Kalinga War on India's east coast. It was so destructive that it didn't just change India, it changed Ashoka himself. Because after Kalinga, the emperor who loved victory began preaching something no conqueror wanted to hear: non-violence. By the time Ashoka ruled, the Mauryan Empire was already a superpower, with roads, taxes, governors, and a massive army. Ashoka wasn't just sitting on a throne, he was an expansion emperor. And here's a detail most people miss. In his own inscriptions, Ashoka usually calls himself Devanampiya Piyadasi, beloved of the gods, not Ashoka. It shows he wanted to be seen as a ruler with divine approval. Then came Kalinga, powerful, wealthy, and strategically placed on the Bay of Bengal trade routes. Ashoka marched in to take it, and that decision would carve itself into history, literally, on stone. Kalinga didn't fall quietly. It was a real war. Towns burned, families broken, prisoners dragged away. And here's the part that hits hardest. Ashoka himself recorded the numbers. In his rock Edict 113, he says about 100,000 were killed, 150,000 were deported, and many more died from the suffering that followed. That inscription is basically a king confessing on stone. After that, Ashoka said he felt deep remorse, not because he lost, but because he won. And that's when he flipped his idea of victory, not conquest by swords, but Dhamma Vijaya, victory by law, welfare, and self-control. After Kalinga, Ashoka didn't quit being emperor. He changed what an emperor does. He began issuing orders not on paper, but on rock and pillar edicts, placed on roads and public sites so ordinary people could see them. His message was practical: respect parents and teachers, show mercy to prisoners, avoid needless killing, and treat different communities with tolerance. He also created new officials, Dhamma Mahamadas, to oversee welfare and moral conduct across the empire. This is what made Ashoka unique. He turned personal guilt into state policy and tried to govern with conscience. Then Ashoka did something no emperor had tried at this scale. He built a moral government. He sent Dhamma officers across the empire to check on prisons, settle disputes, and protect the weak. His orders even mention medical treatment for humans and animals, and planting shade trees and wells along roads for travelers. But his biggest weapon wasn't fear, it was communication. Ashoka carved his message on stone so it couldn't be edited by ministers. And he pushed one idea everywhere: respect, restraint, and compassion as the law of the land. Now here's what most people never hear. Ashoka didn't just write edicts, he engineered a communication empire. His messages appear in multiple scripts, and in the Northwest they were even written in Greek and Aramaic, because he wanted foreigners and border provinces to understand him. Then he changed justice itself. He appointed officials like Rajukas with power to judge cases, and he ordered that death sentences be delayed so prisoners could appeal and families could visit, an ancient cooling-off period built into law. And he replaced royal pleasure tours with Dhamma tours, official trips meant to meet people, hear complaints, and push ethics instead of conquest. That's the twist. Ashoka didn't retire from power. He upgraded what power was supposed to do. Ashoka didn't keep his new belief private. He turned it into a movement. He supported the Buddhist community with patronage and helped organize the tradition. Later records link him with a major council at Pataliputra, meant to strengthen discipline and teaching. Then he sent missions outward. Ancient tradition says his son Mahinda and daughter Sanghamita carried Buddhism to Sri Lanka, and Sanghamita brought a sapling of the Bodhi tree, a symbol that still matters today. And Ashoka's influence wasn't limited to the south. His own inscriptions suggest diplomatic outreach beyond India, toward the northwest and foreign lands. That's the real shift. Ashoka stopped trying to expand borders and started trying to expand an idea. But here's the question people ask. If Ashoka chose nonviolence, why didn't enemies attack him? Because Ashoka didn't dismantle power, he redirected it. The Mauryan Empire still had forts, governors, tax revenue, roads, and a standing army on the frontiers. Nonviolence wasn't weakness, it was policy. Also, Ashoka ruled one of the largest and richest empires of his age. When one state controls most of the subcontinent, it has manpower, grain, elephants, and money. That alone is deterrence, and he didn't think only inside India. In his own edicts, he speaks outward, naming Greek rulers and showing a kind of moral diplomacy beyond borders. In the northwest, his messages even appear in Greek and Aramaic, proof he was communicating with frontier populations and foreign worlds. So, Ashoka's reign wasn't a saint with no power. It was an emperor at peak strength who tried to make strength answer to conscience. Ashoka's empire eventually faded, but his evidence didn't. His pillars and rock edicts survive across South Asia, and they let historians hear an ancient emperor speaking directly about justice, restraint, welfare, and tolerance. That's why Ashoka is remembered differently. Most conquerors leave ruins. Ashoka left a blueprint of rule, written for ordinary people, not just elites. And here's the final twist. The man who once sought fame through conquest became famous for the opposite, for trying to turn power into responsibility. That's why Ashoka still matters today.